Hi everybody, this is Rabbi David Foreman and welcome to Parshat Ki Tavo. You are watching Aleph Beta. Today I want to talk with you about two curiosities at the beginning of this week's Parsha in the story having to do with the law of Bikurim, the first fruits. The Torah declares that once a year farmers should ascend to the temple with a basket of their first fruits, and it gives a procedure for what is to happen next. The procedure at face value is very straightforward. When you look at it a little bit more carefully, it becomes rather mystifying. Let me show you what I mean. So here's the farmer. He shows up at the temple. Ubata ala kohen asher yeyeh bayamim hahem. He comes to the priest that's there. Va'amarte elav, and he says to him, Higadati hayom la'Hashem Elokecha. I have declared today before God, your God, Kivati ala aretz asher nishba Hashem lavatinu latet lanu, that I have indeed come to the land that God has sworn to give to my forefathers. Well, sounds pretty straightforward, until you begin to take a closer look at the grammar. Higadati hayom la'Hashem Elokecha, he says, I have declared today before God. What's that supposed to mean? He didn't already declare that. I mean, he's standing there, and now he's talking, he's making a declaration, but doesn't say, I am declaring, I hereby declare. I have already declared, but he didn't declare anything, he didn't say anything. How could he have declared this already? That's disconnect number one. Here's disconnect number two. Look what happens next. V'lakacha kohen atena miyadecha. The Kohen takes the basket from his hands and places it before the altar of God. Va'anita va'amarta, that farmer should then answer and should say before God the following. Arami Ovid Avi, my father was a wandering Aramean, Vayered Mitzrayma, and he eventually wandered and came down to Egypt, Vayagar Sham. He sojourned there for a while and became a great nation in Egypt, Vayareu Atona Mitzrayim, but the Egyptians mistreated us and they oppressed us, and God heard our voice when we cried out to him, and he took us from the land. And then the farmer goes and continues and gives this really mini summary of Jewish history. And the disconnect here, I think, comes from one word, this introductory word, va'anita va'amarta, and he shall answer and say. What do you mean answer? Did anyone ask him a question? I mean, he was the last one talking. It's really just a continuation of his first declaration. I've declared to you today that I've come before you to this land. I mean, so if he's the continuing talking, why do we call this an answer? He's not answering anything. No one talked to him. It seems to me that the Torah is intentionally setting up the soliloquy of the farmer as something other than a soliloquy, a kind of dialogue. There are breaks in this dialogue which are silences, but they're not really silences at all. Something is happening in that silence. Let's try to figure out what it is. Think about that, and I'll meet you in a couple days.